I've always been a very anxious person. I've, ever since I was little, I was terrified that when my parents left the house that they were going to die. And I could barely sleep half the time because I'd be so nervous. And when I get myself so nervous, I feel sick, and so a lot of times I throw up, or I just can't eat because I feel nauseous. That's happened a lot of times in my life, and it hasn't happened in a while. But so I have that going on, and so, you know, I get myself very worked up about things, and it's like hypochondriac, and so anytime I feel, weird or sick or anything, I go to the Google machine, and Google tells me I'm sick and dying, and I freak myself out. But nothing would actually prepare me for, I always think the worst, and then it's like some mild thing, that resolves itself. So this last year has been very crazy and stuff, because I started a new job, technically I started a new job last year, but I got really into actually doing the job, because it took a while for me to be trained, and then I started doing this job. And last year, the beginning of the year, I started working out, trying to eat healthy. I did it successfully for about 6 weeks, and I was in indoor soccer. It was my first time playing indoor soccer, and there were 3 sessions a year, and I don't remember which session it was, probably the second session or something, and I was in pretty good shape at that point. I haven't been in great shape since high school, because I stopped, working out and doing active things because I'm lazy. But so I was playing indoor soccer, and I got elbowed pretty bad in the ribs, and I thought it was nothing. And then I was like, yeah, it'll be fine. And then I went back to, because I worked out about 6 days a week, and so I went to, do my treadmill workout and everything, and after 2 minutes I couldn't breathe because of how it didn't even damage my ribs, I guess. It's just the cartilage was damaged, and it was so painful that I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move without any pain, and that was just me being dumb and not taking anyone's advice about ribs and rib injuries and stuff like that. And so I did it to myself, and so I had to wear this back brace that I had from gymnastics, and I had to wear that for a couple weeks, and so I was out of it. I still played indoor very carefully. Can't really say that about indoor because, it's indoor, and it's pretty fast paced, and you get thrown into walls and stuff, and you fall on the turf, and you scrape up all your legs. So I still played. I finally healed, and I was fine. I started working out again and eating better, but I'm just really bad about that. I love pizza, and I love burgers, and I love the cheapest, most awful burgers and pizza for you. I love Little Caesars and Burger King, and and Taco Bell. I love all those foods, and it's so hard for me to keep those out of my life. And I like pop, and so it was hard to get back into it. And so I decided to get a personal trainer. And I had this personal trainer who came to my house. He set up all my workouts. He made me do it. He was awesome. Love him to death. And then he moved to Florida. And so it was up to me. And I was still getting workout plans from him. And I was doing it by myself. And it was fine for a while. But then I just got lazy again, and I didn't want to do it. And so I would talk myself out of working out every day, which is such a bad habit, because you have this internal struggle where it's oh, do you want to be fit? Do you want to look healthy or look better, feel healthier? Do you want to have an overall better lifestyle? Do you like having upset stomachs because you eat garbage? And then you're okay, I'll work out. And then you start working out, and it's okay, I was going to do a 30-minute workout. And then you're how about 25 minutes? Okay, this really sucks. How about we only do 10 minutes now? And then you call it good, and then you treat yourself with a burger. How about that? And I'm really horrible about rewarding myself for doing one tiny little thing good for me with something bad for me. It's a horrible struggle, and I'm so dumb for doing it to myself constantly, but I do it. And so I got really, bad at staying with it. And then indoor soccer, ended, and it was just like, crap. And then I got engaged, and I was like, shoot, I'm going to have to go buy a dress sometime and have to fit into it nicely and look good. And so I was like, shoot, I need to start working out again. And so I tried. I started working out. I got a few days into it, like maybe a week. And then, okay, so this Friday it was Friday, September 22nd, and I woke up at like 5 in the morning, and it was almost like just, I'm a heavy sleeper, and I can sleep anywhere, anytime, and for hours. But I woke up out of a dead sleep, and it was the weirdest feeling I've ever had in my life, and it was like, all of a sudden, even with my eyes closed, I could feel the world spinning. And I knew exactly at that point that it was probably vertigo. And so I rolled over because my stomach just started hurting then. I rolled over to get a drink of water because I was like, I need some water. And, maybe it's just dehydration or something, whatever. So I rolled over, and when I opened my eyes, it was like, oh dear God, I was going to barf. My whole, everything was just spinning, and it was nuts. And so I tried to get up to go to the bathroom, and it was like, your worst drunk moment where you're still walking, but you feel like you're walking like this, and somehow what you're seeing is this over here instead of what's in front of you. I mean, if anyone else feels that way when they're really drunk or something. But yeah, I tried to get to the bathroom. I held on to everything because I needed to get to that bathroom in case I was going to throw up. And so I got to the bathroom. I stood over the toilet for probably 20 minutes with the world spinning. I had to hold on to the wall so that I didn't fall over. And I ended up not throwing up, which I hate throwing up, but if that'll make me feel better, I usually just let it happen because there's no point in feeling crappy if you can throw up and feel better. That's usually what I do when I drink. If I feel like I'm going to throw up, I just let myself throw up because I know I'll feel better afterwards. But it was terrible. I sat on the bathroom floor for a long time. I yelled at my boyfriend, Derek, to come, talk to me so I could tell him what's going on. And he was pretty concerned because, this stuff doesn't really happen very often. And so that morning I called my mom, and I knew she'd be awake, and so I called her mom, and she was like, yeah, it's probably vertigo. Go to ready care or urgent care or whatever and see what they need to do. And so I did that. I got right in there. I ended up not going to work. I stayed home all day. I felt fine afterwards. I had a slight headache, and I was nauseous most of the rest of the day, but it wasn't that bad. The car ride to the doctor was bad. But I saw a physician's assistant, and she told me that it was a viral infection in my ear, and that's why it gave me vertigo because it messes with your inner ear, which is your balance center basically. And so I was like, okay, great, fine. And so she gave me anti-vert, which I never took any of because I didn't feel that I needed it after I got the prescription filled. I didn't need it because I wasn't dizzy. I just felt kind of nauseous, and that was about it. And so I spent Saturday and Sunday perfectly fine, no problems, felt great, it wasn't any different than normal. And then Monday was fine at work, it was whatever. People were like, oh, what happened? Why weren't you here on Friday? I explained, and they're like, oh, that's crazy. And then Monday night, I was working out. I was doing a moderate workout. My workout schedule was Monday and Friday was 30 minutes of cardio, and then core workouts, a few different things. And so I was doing jumping jacks, and since I was in gymnastics, I do a lot of leaps and jumps because it works your core like crazy. And And so I was doing that, and it was pretty mild. Like it wasn't a hard workout or anything, but just all of a sudden I lost vision in my left eye. Like it was, and like I could see things. It was kind of like something like this big, like right up close. I could see like little bits on the outside, but it was like just like kind of a black, like not moving, but like kind of like sparkling blob in front of my eye, and it was just like kind of all of a sudden, and and so I was like, oh my god, what is happening to me? And so I Googled, loss of temporary vision loss during exercise, and tons of stuff popped up. And then Google told me that I had visited that site about a year and a half ago, and I was like, and then all of a sudden all these like memories came back, and I was like, oh my god, I do remember doing this like that time. It was back in like March of 2016, and I was like, oh my god, I remember this. I remember feeling the same way, and I remember Googling it because I figured it was because of I was exercising, and I lost vision. I don't know which eye it was that time, but this time it was my left eye, and so I was like, well, this is crazy. If it's happened before, it'll go away. Like maybe I'll go see a doctor about this. It seems a little odd. I texted my old trainer and asked him if he'd ever seen this happen, or it's happened to him, and he said, no, that's crazy. And I was like, okay. And I told Derek about it, and he was concerned, but he was at work. He works second shift, so he's not here in the evenings. And so I kind of just I started drinking water because I thought maybe I was dehydrated. And so I started drinking tons of water, and I sat on the couch and just watched TV, and most of my vision came back. And there were a few little little dots and stuff. If anyone's ever had a migraine with aura, it was kind of like that, but instead of sparkly, like dead air on a TV, like the white noise. That's what my aura is when I get migraines, and I used to get migraines all the time, and I get headaches all the time. I actually got my daith piercing in my ear so that it would help with my headaches, and it did, because there's a pressure point in there. So I had this fuzzy stuff in my vision, and I just went to bed. And then